Hi everyone, and welcome to Theory Workshop here on Tuesday, and this week we are going to have a look at opened and closed junctions. Again, it's something, if we can recognise this, okay, and obviously when we're dealing with that, driving that, we can actually plan our drive much more successfully. So it's something I thought it was worthwhile having a look at. So what is an open and closed junction? It's all about visibility at the end of the day, is what we can and what we can't see. And if we think about, okay, the things that we can't see and plan and anticipate those things, then it's going to make life a lot easier with our decisions that we're going to make. So let's have a quick run through it. Okay, so here we've got on the board, okay, a pretty standard T-junction. I've drawn it pretty big, okay, tonight, so hopefully you can see this. So let's imagine, okay, that we're emerging up to the T-junction. Alright, so we're emerging up and we plan to turn left or right. It actually doesn't matter which way we're going. Now, as we're coming up to a junction, if we've got no obstructions in the way and where we're back here, well back from where the give way line is, and we've got great visibility to the right and to the left of us, alright, we can start to make an early decision to determine whether we can come straight out of this junction or whether we need to stop. So where we've got clear visibility, we're going to call this an opened junction. So we are talking about it being opened, being able to see well to the right and well to the left, not just having a look at the mouth of the junction itself. So we can see if there is traffic heading down from the right, we can see if there's traffic heading down from the left, okay, well, and we can start to determine their speed and things like that, okay, to see if we can make that decision whether we're going to have to stop and give way, alright, or whether we can continue out. So generally, okay, if it is, we can see it's clear, we're just going to reduce our speed enough so we keep in control to do the turn. So that's likely bringing the speed down to, I don't know, maybe roughly about 15 miles an hour, something of that nature, and likely to use second gear to bring it up, so we can obviously get that second gear in place and we can do our right or our left turn. Alright, so that's okay, going to make life nice and easy. But when we're driving in built up areas, and particularly, okay, if we're driving around in housing estates, okay, or in town, okay, especially old towns, things like that, okay, things tend to be built up right up to the edge of the road. So this could be buildings, it could be a fence, it could be a hedge, it could be trees, it could be anything. Alright, but the problem we've now got, okay, when we're in this position and we start to look right and left, we can no longer see up and down this road now. So our visibility is really restricted. So we have no idea, okay, what is coming. So we cannot make the decision to come out of this junction. What we must never do is make a blind decision and hope it's going to be clear. So with a closed junction, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce our speed, and when we're roughly about 1.5, 2 car lengths away from the give way line, we want to be at a walking speed, and we want to get the clutch down and we want to slip it into first gear. Alright, now we want to get that first gear as we're still moving up, okay, so what we don't want to be doing at here is coming to the give way line, stopping, first gear, having a look, because obviously that is going to make us quite hesitant at junctions. So we want to reduce that speed down, so say roughly when we're about 1.5 car lengths, 2 car lengths away from the give way line, we're at that walking speed, so we're doing less than 10 miles an hour, we're going to get the clutch down and we're going to slip it into first gear, and we're going to keep the clutch down, and what we're going to do is we're going to roll up to the give way line. So if we're going left, we're going to roll up to the give way line, but remembering to still put your steering on okay, to follow the curb round, so we're in the correct position for that left turn. If we're turning right, our position is going to be left to centre, keeping it square on, coming up to the giveaway line. But we're now just going to slowly, steadily roll up to that line with the clutch down. Now what that is going to do is, when we get to this point here and our nose starts to come beyond that point, we're going to start to be able to see right and left again. Now because we're moving nice and slowly, that is going to give us time to have a really good look. And if it's nice and clear, then obviously we can apply a little bit of gas, start lifting the clutch a little bit and start driving out on the junction and doing our left or our right turn. If it isn't clear and we see there's traffic coming, then that's not a problem. The clutch is already down, so we can just gently roll up and gently brake to stop at the giveaway line. So we've got the best of both worlds. Now if you're approaching too fast, when you get to this point where visibility opens up to you, because of your speed, you're not going to have time to have a proper look. So you're forcing yourself, you're going to have to stop to keep it safe. Or you're going to go over the line, okay, and possibly put yourself at risk because it might not be safe. So having that speed approaching that giveaway line at a closed junction at too fast, it's going to be a problem to you. So it's really, really important that with a closed junction, okay, we get that speed down. As I say, we're below 10 mile an hour, we're slipping into first gear and we're just slowly, gently rolling up to that giveaway line. So we need to determine, when we're driving up the road, way back here, whether this is going to be an open and closed junction. And we can see, okay, as we're looking up, we can see the obstructions, okay, on either side of the road. And even if you just got an obstruction on one side of the road and the other side of the road is clear, we still want to class that as a closed junction. We want visibility, good visibility, to be on both sides of the road to class it as an open junction. Alright, so we can now determine, okay, back here, we already say to ourselves, okay, right, I've got a closed junction ahead. So we know then we're going to bring our speed down and we are going to be using first gear to deal with this junction. If it's an open junction, we can see there's no obstructions, we can see visibility is good, so we're going to slow down a little bit more, and we know then we're likely to go into second gear as we're now approaching the junction, because we'll see, particularly if we can see it's clear, we can come out. So actually understanding what an open and closed junction is, looking for it to be opened or closed, okay, well before we get up to the junction, will actually help us plan to how we're going to deal with the junction, whether we are going to just need to slow it down for second gear or whether we need to slow it right down and go into first gear. Okay? Now a good little tip for you, okay, when you are going into first gear, and it's what I call a moving start, okay? So what we're using on a closed junction when we're going into first gear, a moving start. So first of all, okay, before we go back into first gear when we're still moving, it is important that we've got the speed right down. We should not be trying to go into first gear at 20 mile an hour. Alright, we need to get that speed right down to 10 or below 10 mile an hour before we physically select first gear. Okay? Now when you select first gear, don't try and bring the clutch back up again, because that's where you're going to get that awful jolt. Alright? Keep the clutch down, keep the brake covered, and just have enough momentum there to keep yourself steadily rolling up to the line. So you're having a look. And it's only when you've seen it's clear and you know that you don't have to stop, are you then going to give it a little bit of gas first and then just bring the clutch up a little bit to get that movement. You can feel it biting and moving, and hold it and then come out. Again, don't try and bring the clutch right up, and that's what's going to give you a nice smooth move off. Okay, so it's worth getting out with your driving instructor and getting out onto some quiet junctions, where you can practice this. That's what I do with my pupils. I just get them to go around the block, where we've got some quiet junctions, and they can actually have a practice getting used to, going into first gear, and getting the timing, so you can actually have a look at the timing of it. Good little tip there, particularly when you're turning left. slowing it down and probably getting yourself into first gear and letting it run around the line just before the curve itself starts to bend. So you're not having to try and go into first gear and put your steering on to come round. So have a look at where, okay, the curve starts to curve round, and that's then going to be the point where you want to be just going into first gear there, and then just nice and steady, putting your steering on, coming round as you're looking right and left. If you're going right, okay, it's a little bit easier, because obviously you are going to keep yourself nice and straight and coming right up, okay, there. So again, about 1.5 car lengths or so there into first gear, and you can just steadily roll up, okay, to your giveaway line and having a look. Alright, so something we can also think about as well, okay, is parked cars. I mean, there's other things, okay, that can cause us obstructions as well. So just rub all this out. Okay, so sometimes, okay, we can have a closed junction, it can be an open junction, but also then, okay, we can have parked cars either side of the junction. So the problem here then, okay, is it's not the buildings or the fence or the trees or whatever it is, okay, obstructing our vision right and left anymore, okay, it's the parked cars, alright? So we've got to be able to deal with that safely. So we use something what we call peep and creep. Now, what we must do in this situation, okay, is when we're coming up, and again, this is the same whether we're turning left or right, we do it as a right turn, okay, we need to come up to the giveaway line and we need to stop, making sure that we don't go over the giveaway line, alright, and we're not causing obstruction, and we're looking both ways. And we can't see it's clear, so this is where we're going to peep and creep out. So what we're then going to do, okay, when we can see it's safe and we're not going to cause any immediate problems, we are just going to slowly with the clutch bring ourselves out and start to creep out of the junction. And keep looking both ways, okay, because something could come round past these parked cars. If we see something coming, then again immediately stop again. Don't allow yourself to come out any further, okay. And obviously you'll come out nice and steady, and then you'll get to the point where you've come out enough in the road where you can now clearly see what's coming up, okay, to your right and left, and then you can make your decision if it's nice and clear to turn. Alright, so always as you're creeping out, okay, creeping out when it's safe, but don't make that decision to actually go until you can see it's clear to go. So all the time you're looking and all the time you can't see, you've got to be prepared that something could be coming, so you've got to be prepared to actually stop again. Alright, don't make that decision to go until you can actually see. Okay, so that's a little bit, okay, about peep and creep there, to help you bring that on. Alright, so there's some other bits and pieces, okay, with junctions, okay, that we can bring in, alright, which I'll bring in over the next couple of weeks to help you in that, but I just thought we would start here with the open and closed junctions and just having a look at peep and creep, and just obviously getting you to start to think about that as well. So yeah, get your instructor, or however you're actually out practicing or whatever, try and get into some quiet areas, okay, where it's not majorly busy, but obviously you've probably got some of these situations where then you can start to have a go at them and perfect them, and you'll find, okay, once you start to perfect that and you can kind of like slip it into first gear, let it gently roll up to line and give yourself time to look, you'll tend to find, okay, your junction work will really start to come together and improve. And obviously once you start to give yourself time to look, that's the key. It's making decisions, okay, whether you can or can't go. And I think that is all about giving yourself time to have a proper look. Once you give yourself time to have a proper look, you'll find that your decision making, okay, will become much better as well. You'll start making better decisions, okay, on that. A good rule of thumb, okay, with your decision making, you know, when you're coming out and turning right, is to think of yourself as a pedestrian. Have I got time to safely walk across the road? If the answer to that is yes, I can walk across the road, then generally you'll probably find you'll have enough time to come out and drive out. If you haven't got time to walk across the road and you've got to like run or hurry, then chances are, okay, the decision you want to make is wait and not come out. Remember, when we're coming out of junctions and things like this, we shouldn't be affecting traffic on that major road. We shouldn't be causing them to slow down or change direction or have to take any action because we've come out of that junction. So that's the sort of things, okay, that you actually really need to think about. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up there, okay, tonight. I think I'll just give you enough information on open and closed junctions. Hopefully it's helped. Get yourself out and practice. Remember, okay, like, share the video. If you know anybody that's learning to drive, get them on this, okay. The other thing is all the previous workshop videos, okay, I'll put a post out on Facebook as well. I'm actually downloading all the videos, okay, onto YouTube, so hopefully it's going to make it easier. You can get onto our YouTube channel, and you can obviously go back to previous videos that we've done, which will help you out. So I will, when I've finished it, okay, I will put a link out on our Facebook page, so you can go over there and subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's a whole bunch of other videos, okay, there as well that is going to be helpful, useful. We've actually had the cameras in the cars and stuff like that, and done some commentary and bits and pieces. Okay, so it's giving you some good visual things about what's going on and that, so that might actually really be helpful to you there as well. Okie dokie everyone, I hope you have a great week. I hope the weather improves a little bit. Last week was another wet, horrible week and that, and I hope that it hadn't affected you too much. So hopefully we'll have a better week this week, and I will see you all next week at the same time, same place. Alrighty then, bye for now.